She was working so hard towards what she thought was her dream career and was doing it thinking she was aspiring to be an inspiration for her legacy to come for her children. And then she realized, hold on a second, this is all wrong. This doesn't feel right. And she really needed to tune into what God had to say. I'm here to introduce you to our newest guest, Samantha Bauer, of our newest episode of Awful, Okay, Awesome, the show that is about stories of difficult times turned into your divine path. Incidentally, the story that Sam will tell you today is also somewhat in this book that you see here in the background. I'm actually not sure if you're seeing the title backwards now that I think of it. This is a new streaming platform. But you can hear a little bit of a sneak peek from her today. And then you can also get your copy of Powerful Synergy to get a little bit more of Sam's energy and mine, where we tell our stories, all to benefit the global sisterhood. But we would not be here if it was not for our sponsor. I'm going to show you these labels up close. They're beautiful. They smell heavenly. Oh gosh, anytime I roast them, it's like I get a boost of endorphins. Black Oswald Coffee is the brand that not only revitalizes you through its rich, bold flavors, but also donates proceeds of every sip, every ounce, every grain to mental health industry organizations. So if you have a mental health organization and nonprofit that you're passionate about, you can reach out to Black Oswald Coffee. Let them know what your passion is. Let them know what your mission is. Let them know what your desired blend is. They will create something customized for you and help you to raise funds through Black Oswald Coffee for the mental health organization focus that you're passionate about, along with all the ones that already exist in partnership with them. Speaking of which, take a sip every time you hear a baby cry, a dog whine, or, who knows, anything can happen. Maybe the chickens will come up and say hi. This is real life recording live in my household. But I've said enough. Sam, who are you? What brings you here? And you can get right into the story. And obviously, I'll interject with some questions for you.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm Sam Bauer, and I own the Bauer Agency of Goosehead Insurance. We will actually be celebrating our 6th year in business on May 1st, which is exciting. I'm also a mom of 3 amazing kids. I'm a wife, and I'm a servant of God. And I also have a podcast. And then also I've contributed to a couple books. So it's crazy to say those things right now where I'm at, but that's who I am. And I guess I'll just kind of start sharing a little bit about my story. So I was in corporate America for the whole beginning part of my career. So like the first 18 years. And I had my sights set on climbing the corporate ladder. I wanted to, become the president of a big company. And really, I wanted to show my daughter that mom could do it too, because I wanted her to know that she could do it too. I wanted my kids to see, that women can achieve things in the business world while being a good mother and present wife and servant of God and all of those things. And so I started my journey, and I started as an insurance agent, which is ironic because that's what I'm doing now. But I worked my way up on the corporate side of the insurance industry, working for insurance carriers and managing insurance sales teams, managing distribution channels, and even building some products for insurance companies as well as towing companies, which is kind of interesting. But as I went up the ladder, I started to realize that it's not really where I wanted to be. I was traveling all the time. I had a very high stress job. I had my last position, I was managing a team of 80 sales agents and 5 sales managers. And so I was basically on call all of the time. I was not available for my family. And although with my last promotion that I took before leaving, my husband made the decision we made it together for him to stay home with the kids. And so he was being a stay-at-home parent while I was pursuing my career, which was great for our kids, and my husband loved it as well. But I was still like, oh, I thought this was going to be better. I thought I was going to feel better about it. But missing the first day of school, and missing seeing my kids get on the bus for the first time, missing like the Mother's Day teas, missing music concerts and things like that. Like, I can't even say it now without getting emotional about it, but it was really hard. But I felt like God was calling me to do this. And I felt that I was where he wanted me to be, which I was. Like you had kind of mentioned before we went live, Marta, there is no accident, and there is really no wrong path. He had me there for a reason. And I can see that now, but at the time it was just hard. And I was getting to a point where I was being led to manage by a corporate team that really was results driven, which is good, right? Results do matter, but kind of at the expense of humans. And I was being led to lead in a way that I just started looking in the mirror at night and not liking the person that I was looking back at, because I didn't agree with the way they were leading. I've always wanted to get into leadership to help people become better, to help them have more success, and really to lead like Jesus. And I was not being encouraged to lead that way in my last position, and it put a lot of stress on me. And so I started to realize, like, I don't think this is where God wants me long term.
I have a question that actually just came up that I don't know that I've ever asked, but what do you think would have happened in that position if you would have said, that's it, I'm not available 24/7. These are my boundaries. That's it. Like, I'm a valuable member of this team. I'm going to go to this tea, or I'm going to go to this game. I'll catch up later, or something like that. What would have happened, do you think? I'm genuinely curious. This is not a leading question.
Yeah, no, that's fair. In that culture where I wouldn't have been in that position much longer.
They would have let you go.
My superior told me more than once while I was in that job that this position isn't for somebody who wants to be at their kids' practices or at their, family things all of the time.
How is that company doing?
I mean, they're a very successful
They're
company.
still very successful. I just find
Yeah.
that now the corporate world is becoming more aware of what it means to have somebody to be loyal. And I know that there's tons of great companies out there that are family centered, but I guess this just wasn't one of them.
Yeah. And specifically like this department of that company, like all the other departments, I think that weren't sales were a lot easier going, but I was in a sales position, and we were being pressured to get results, and we did get them. I mean, we were growing at a fast pace. My team had generally exceeded goals year over year, but and I actually was like in the top 3 regional managers in the country almost every single month. So it wasn't like I was performing poorly. But I was just, never home and working all the time. And last day of the month, you'd have to stay in the office till 9 o'clock, till everybody went home. And it just wasn't conducive to the life that I feel like God had for me. But I will tell you, I learned so much from that job. I mean, I learned how to manage a high performing sales team. I learned how to work with people. I learned how to do big budgets for, big organizations. I learned how, like, a ton of different management skills, how to work with people. That really is why I've been successful running my own business, because without those skills and those leadership trainings that I got to experience there, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I am truly grateful for that. And I do believe that that is why God had me there, as hard as it was. And as many days as I'd like drive in tears, just praying, like, God, just show me what's next. I know that he had me there to learn the things that I needed to learn, and also to have a better appreciation of where I am right now. I actually can't. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're right. So what was the breaking point that led you to that next step for you?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that happened. So I had been praying about this for like a year and a half. And when you're doing that, you start to get stir crazy. And I'm not the most patient person in the world. But I started just asking God, like, just show me what's next. Show me when it's time and I will do it. But I had in probably a year and a half, all of my parents' generation, like so my grandparents' generation passed away. So it was just like one after the other. And
Mm.
I'd sat through a few of these funerals, and my family is a farm family, very close knit, small business owners. Actually, my dad's whole, like, his parents and aunts and uncles all kind of lived in one street when I was growing up off of our farm. And so anyway, I'm sitting through these funerals and I'm just hearing these amazing stories about their lives. And there were just, it was endless. It was like story after story of all their grandchildren sharing about them spending time with them and all these different experiences. And so I grew up in this church, Mars United Presbyterian, where I think you guys did like an event.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, we have,
baptized
yeah.
there. Yeah, I was baptized there and married there.
Wow.
Yeah, so my whole life I spent in that church in the same pew with my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, everybody was there. And it was my great uncle who passed away. He was 101 years old, and he
Wow.
was the last one to pass away of that crew. And I was sitting there at his funeral and I looked down and it was just weird because none of the people that I grew up with were there anymore. My parents were there and my aunts and uncles, but not the great ones. Um,
Mhm.
and I felt as though God sat down beside me and was like, "Hey, Sam, what are they going to be saying at your funeral?" Because I'm listening to these beautiful stories of my great uncle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make a change. Like, if I keep on this path, they're going to say, Mom was fun, but she was never around,
Mhm.
or all the stories would be probably about my career and not about the time that I spent with them. And that was really like the turning point for me of like, all right, God, like I'm hearing you. And I know that this is not the path that you have for me anymore. And it's time for me to step into who you created me to be. And so with that, I started looking for opportunities and I knew I wanted to be self-employed. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And it became very clear to me that, I know insurance. I've been in insurance my entire life. I know that there is a really good um, residual income that comes from being in insurance that can create generational wealth for my kids. But also because of all of my experience, I'd been in insurance for like 19 years in different capacities. Um, I'd seen agency owners, because I'd worked with them, have these like really cool lives where they, work really hard, but also can be at their kids' events and do fun things on the weekends and go on cool vacations and own second homes and lake houses and things like that, where they're like actually like able to have a life outside of
Mhm.
work, which I hadn't experienced. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. And I did. I'll never forget at the time I was making about $140,000 a year, plus bonuses. I had the corner office, the company
Which
car.
would you say that that now that equals to like 280 because of inflation?
Right,
I
probably.
feel like, yeah, or at least 200,000 because of inflation, something like that. So just to put it in perspective, it's not that been that long, probably what,
Yeah,
5 years, right? The 5-year mark.
yeah.
Yeah, so
It'll be 6 years next month.
yeah. So
Um,
and I honestly, the dollar has significantly changed just in the 6 years, so I think to put it in perspective, it's about that much, right?
yeah,
No? Would you say?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I just remember leaving there and being like, oh my gosh, and my husband was a stay-at-home parent as well. So remember that, like, so we prayed over this decision. Obviously, I didn't just walk in and quit, but there was a lot that went into it. But God just kept like providing the next thing. And even
Mhm.
with my husband and his job, like the goal was he was going to go back to work for 3 years and then I was going to build this business. And the prayer was that he would be able to quit in 3 years and join me at the agency. And so he found a job right off the bat, making the exact amount of money we needed to like cover our bills. It didn't replace my salary, but it at least got us to cover the bills. And so we worked through that first year, and he worked through and like this is like my first year in business was just an absolute like mess.
I bet.
We were like scrapping to save money and like make sure we could get this thing going. My daughter got deathly ill within like the first 5 months of me opening the business. Um, I had a miscarriage
Wow.
right after that.
I don't know
Uh,
that I remember these details, so thank you for sharing these difficult details.
yeah, just I had the craziest first year. And then so
Yeah.
after that, COVID hit. So like this was like in in December, Andy got sick. We were in Children's Hospital for 14 days. We almost lost her.
Oh, wow.
She is healthy and wonderful now, and we're so grateful.
Mhm.
January, I had a miscarriage. February was kind of normal, and then March, COVID hit. And so that was my first. And then because of my daughter getting sick and having some surgeries on her lungs, when they opened schools back up that following school year, I wasn't comfortable putting her in a mask because I just didn't know
Right.
what her lung capacity was. And so I
Right.
homeschooled my first and second grader, and this is all in the first year of me going
Yeah.
to so
Yeah.
I think, like when we lean into the call that God has for us, the devil's like, oh, let me see how I can make this not happen.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, and it was just confirmation to me that I was doing exactly what God wanted me to do. It was like, all right,
Mhm.
we're gonna
Mhm.
keep going, we're gonna get through this. And it's been honestly like so hard to be a business owner, but I wouldn't trade a second of it for anything. Like having that time, yes, my daughter got sick and that was horrible and hard. But guess what? I was at the hospital every single day with her and I slept there with her and I did work while I was at her
Mhm.
bedside and I wasn't stressed out about, my boss calling me every 5 minutes
Mhm.
or whatever and asking me when I was coming
Right.
back, anything like that. And, through everything we went through, I would have never been able to homeschool them if
Mhm.
I was still in a corporate job. So this business has been such a huge blessing to me and my family. And I'm just so grateful for everything that's happened and how God kind of just lines everything up and orchestrates it for you.
Yeah. I think somebody put it, and I don't even remember where this came from, probably from someone from my company because they're big on entrepreneurship. But it's that saying that I'm too much of an adult to have to ask someone when I'm allowed to be sick, right? It's we can be sick when it comes up. Our kids can be sick when it comes up. We can go and take vacation time when it's vacation time. Certainly in some industries there's certain times of the year where you work around certain crazier schedules, but it's your call. You call the shots, right?
Yeah, and it's one of the things we actually talked about when we opened our business. My husband and I sat down and we were like, what are all the things we hated about working for companies? And we just made a list. Like we hated when we'd call off and they'd make you feel bad. We hated whenever just kind of the things you're saying, like we had to leave early because of a family function and your boss is giving you the dirty look from like his office on the way out, like all
Hmm.
of these things. And so we made this like things that we hated and we're like, we're not going to do that here.
Yeah.
So it's
And I even worked for a family-centered company, which I loved and I still love. I think they're a great company for a couple years around that time too, just because it was such a great opportunity. It seemed flexible, but there was still a set amount of days that I could completely call off. And there just weren't enough for being a mom at the time of 5 kids. There just weren't enough. So
yeah.
entrepreneurship has really been phenomenal for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Cuz I'd been in corporate America my whole career so far. So I never had the experience of not reporting to somebody. So my first few weeks in business, I'd call my husband in the morning and like tell him what I was going to do today. And finally he's like, "Are you reporting to me right now?" I was like, "Oh, I guess I am." He's like, "Sam, you don't have to report like to anybody. Just go do your
Yeah.
job." So it did. It took me a while to get used to the idea of like, oh, I can leave at lunchtime and go see my kid take swim lessons and
Yeah.
then come back and I don't have to tell anybody or I don't have to like explain myself.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
BT.
just make sure your auto reply works. I mean, so I just I just took off. I was telling Sam before that we went live, and I just took off 7 days myself, and I was gonna just do 4 or 5, and then I was like, I could use a couple more days. I let my admin know to let clients know. We moved some things around, moved some projects around, and I'm glad I did. right? There's no harm, no foul. Nobody's really affected by it because we just make sure everybody's still taken care of and that you have a good system in place for when you take off, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's been hard too. Like it's you learn how to do it, but it's so freeing once you kind of realize that the world isn't going to end if you take a day or a week off.
Yes. I think I equate it to, though, my kids started with traditional school days. So then when I tried to homeschool them, then the unschooling way of just living life and whenever we learn whenever, they had a really hard time with it. They just didn't feel like they were being educated, even though they were. They just felt off. It didn't feel real. They wanted to go back to school. So I think that's a similar experience if you come from a corporate world like that, right? And now all of a sudden you have so much freedom. You're like, I don't know what to do with this. Am I doing this right? I don't feel like I'm being productive, but have there been a lot of productive times where you've gotten a nice message from God where you were doing absolutely nothing and productive? Have you had moments like that?
What do you mean by?
Like for recently, like I said, I just took off 7 days and I was just trying to get some clarity on some things. And I think just yesterday I was like, oh, it's this thing. Yes. And it's just in that moment of I haven't hit the goals that I wanted to hit. I haven't, done the things that I thought that I wanted to get done by this time this year. But I still took that week off because I know that in those moments when you sit with God, that's when that clarity comes of, and sometimes that procrastination is intuition. That's like, you haven't spent enough time with God on this. You're not quite there yet. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, especially like this year, it's interesting because the longer you're in business and the bigger your business gets, it doesn't get easier. It just gets
Yeah.
more. And I am somebody that like I work a lot and I have always worked a lot. I am realizing that like I have always been rewarded for hard work. I've never been naturally good at things. Um, so I've always had to work really hard to accomplish anything that I have done. And so for me, I'm learning that it's just something that like this is like a therapy thing, but like I think
I like it.
I started to like find my self-worth in working hard. And
Mhm.
so that's something that's come to my attention just in the last like year and a half that I've had to be really careful about that because my self-worth doesn't come from that. It comes from God.
Right. Right.
And I felt in the last like 3 months that I've been really called to be still. So this is I think I said this is the first podcast I've done in a while. I haven't even done my own podcast in a while because I'm just taking a break and being still and listening for God's voice. But I also tend to be impatient and rush
Mhm.
things. So sometimes I get ahead of myself because I get really excited. Like I love owning a business. I love helping people and hiring people and having them come in and have success. And like, it's just the coolest thing to see somebody's life change because
Mhm.
of this business. And
Mhm.
so I tend to push things and then I remember like I'm not in control of the timing. Like I believe fully that God has called me to do this and in his timing, the right people are going to come along, the right resources are going to come along and it's going to grow in his way, but I have a hard time waiting sometimes. And so that is something that like this year I've really been aware of and trying to like, all right, Sam, slow down. Don't get distracted by shiny things. Like, don't be overly, get an idea and then just run with it. Like, I need to sit in prayer and be still. So, I don't know. It's the same thing as like taking the time off and then realizing that it was the right thing.
Mhm.
But for me, it's just slowing down and being still, making sure I'm getting my God time in the morning. Those are the things for me that like, it's just that reminder that like I'm not in charge. Like,
Mhm.
and I need to stop putting God in a box and let him be him because he's already got it all planned out.
Yes, yeah. I will tell you I'm the opposite. I'm not good at hard work. I will I will find the quicker, simpler, most easiest way to get to the divine path forward. And and also because I am very impatient as well, and I'll look at a situation and go, this seems way more complicated than it needs to be. We're going to
Yeah.
cut out these 10 steps and it doesn't matter, and we're still getting the same result, and we didn't burn ourselves out in the moment. So I appreciate that about you, because then of course that imposter syndrome comes in of like, I should be working harder. I should be working more, right? That working more doesn't really come up for me anymore. But it's like, should I be working myself to the bone to make this happen? And then it's like, no, because that's not the best version of yourself. That's not you operating in your zone of genius. So, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you've just said that you're trying to slow down and not work as hard, but there is something to be said about people that love working hard and just love it, and it fuels them. And there's nothing wrong with that, because it's really all about working in a way that works for you. Right.
Yeah.
And I think myself with 7 kids is like, I've got to get to the bottom of this way quicker to make it happen between this window of time that God has given me. So
Yeah.
I tend to just,
Yeah. It's hard. That's me. Like, I love to work.
yeah.
And so one of the things that I implemented probably about a year ago, which shouldn't need implemented because it's one of the 10 commandments, is making sure that I'm observing the Sabbath. And
Mhm.
so before, I would use Sunday as like, okay, we go to church, we serve at church, we do our thing, we come home, we do all the chores, all the grocery shopping, and then I'll like jump on and like catch up on quotes or whatever. And my son actually one day was like, hey mom, you know what the number one most broken 10 commandment is? And I'm thinking, one of the like, they're all important.
Mhm.
They're all commandments, but I'm thinking one of the
Mhm.
big ones, right? And he's
Mhm.
like, it's that we don't observe the Sabbath. And he's a
Mhm.
clever kid. Like, he like told me that right after I told him to clean his room or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
But it hit me, and I was like, you're right. Like, I'm not resting, and I'm
Yeah.
not letting my family rest. And like, this
Yeah,
is God. God worked for 6 days, and then he rested. Like,
for sure.
and he commanded us to rest too. And if he's commanding us to do something, he's not going to use that to make us less productive or to like screw up our business or to make clients mad because we didn't get back to them on a Sunday. He's commanding us to do that. And if we do what he's commanding us to do, then he's going to provide more for us and give us the rest and see that we're doing what he's asking us to do. And it just like hit me like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
again, here's me trying to like prove myself or like
Mm.
not let people down, and I'm not following like a very clear thing that God's saying, like, hey, I gave you a whole day, you're supposed to be resting on it, and you're trying to like get things accomplished. So we
Right.
started probably about a year and a half ago making sure that like Sundays we don't do work.
For
um
sure.
yeah, and that's really helped me too, because I've noticed that like nobody cares. Like,
No, nobody cares. People want to be left alone anyways, right? It's a big one for me. I notice that if I don't get to have a Sunday, it's not even just work. It's no birthday parties, no fundraisers, no events, nothing. We are not making any plans. My phone is off for the most part. I'm sometimes, you use your phone, you don't even realize, for so many things, for so many apps, for so many just functional daily things that and now it's turned into Sundays for me are no screens whatsoever, because then I'll just use my phone for a remote, right? And I'll watch TV.
yep,
So that's where a lot of the reading and just walking and hiking and taking baths and things like that occurs. And I try not to let my husband do any yard work, because it's like, this is a day of rest. There is absolutely no labor happening today. But one of my favorite things to do to relax is drink coffee. Don't forget that Black Oswald Coffee is our sponsor. Yeah, there you go. Take a sip. And they're phenomenal. You can get your blend of choice at Black Oswald Coffee Company. Sorry, blackoswaldcoffeeco.com. Use code awesome15 for a special discount. So, Sam, what's your favorite way to relax then on a day off?
I'm really bad at relaxing. This is something I've noticed, like, as I'm doing this resting thing is that I'm really
Yeah.
bad at it. But I love my husband and I love to go golfing. So we'll do a lot is we'll
Okay.
go to church, and depending on how we're serving at church, we'll either try to hit 9 holes before we go or right after. And it's just the two of
Nice.
us, and the kids can stay home and hang out and do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And so that's probably our favorite thing to do to relax. And then I love being outside, just I'm reading books and things like that. But for me,
Yeah.
it's tennis or golf. Like I like to play sports, which maybe
And
is not
is
relaxing to most people, but
And isn't it phenomenal that the kids are old enough that you and your husband can go do that? That's life-changing, people. No, that is life-changing. Talk about a situation that can feel difficult and then it turns into the best thing ever. I'm completely kidding. It is always the best thing ever, but it is,
it
there
is.
are
I
hard
mean, we just in the last 2 years have been able to do it. We hadn't golfed in years. And then we realized, like, hey, they can stay home for an hour and a half. So, like, we can go
Yeah.
walk 9 holes and come home, and, they're great.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
like it because it gives them a break from us.
Yeah, and you hear this from people often, and we sometimes on the show we get off into the weeds, but I think these are important things to note. I hear these sayings from people often of, "Oh, I'd love to do more of that. Oh, I wish I could go there," or "I've always wanted to do that." And I always follow up with, "Well, what do you think is keeping you?" "What do you mean? Like time? I can't. I've got so many things going on." And it's like you really can. All you have to do is carve it out. And there's no shame or judgment, but I don't know. It's like, do you really want that? And if you do, then do it, right? If you wish you drank more water, drink more water. If you wish you would eat more vegetables, eat more vegetables. If Sam wants to golf more, just golf more, right? It really is that simple. For me,
Yeah.
it's been, we have a little lake here and I walk around it and I can't remember the last time I actually got on the kayak and kayaked on it. And I keep saying I want to do it. And I was just being that same person of, oh,
Yeah.
I just don't know when. We'll just get the freaking kayak out of the shed and get
Go.
on it, right? It's that simple, right?
Yeah, it really is. And I think we complicate things. And it's like, I struggle with the time thing too, because it's like, oh my gosh, there's just not enough hours in the day, but there are enough hours in the day because God
Mhm,
made the day
mhm.
and He made the hours. And I think you actually taught me this when we worked together years ago. Um, that like at the end of the day, instead of being upset because you didn't achieve everything that you wanted to achieve or you didn't get every single person call back that you wanted to, like it matters that you did your best, of course, but you did everything that God had you planned to do that day. So
Right.
stop beating yourself up. And that's really helped me because it is something that like I struggle with. It's like, oh my gosh, I had a list of 12 people I wanted to call back and I only got to 9 of them just because there weren't enough hours in the day, but I have to go home at some point. and
Yeah.
and two, one of my goals for this year was to leave the office by 5:30 every day. So like I'm working till 5:30 and then on when the kids get out of school, my goal is to work Fridays until noon. And I've never cut hours back like that before for myself. And it does scare me, but I'm doing it and it's working okay. I mean, every once in a while I'll still log in at night at home if, I need to finish up something
Mhm.
or whatever, but it's really just setting some boundaries, and being less distracted while you're at work. It's so easy. We talked earlier about
Yeah.
getting distracted by like the email comes in or, the social
Mhm,
media thingy pops up on your phone or whatever and then you look at it and
mhm.
now you've wasted 20 minutes because you've like
Yep.
done something else. So really being aware and intentional of and selfish with my time has really helped me a ton. And just like, okay, today I'm going to have these 3 things. What are my big 3? If I do these 3 things, it's going to help me get closer to my goal. And then kind of like shutting everything else out. It's so important. But I struggle with that. And so being
Yeah.
able to lay down at night and be like, okay, I didn't get those things done today, but I'm confident that I did everything God wanted me to do because
Yeah.
nothing happens on accident, right?
Yeah, you completed everything that you were meant to, and even on a show like this, someone might log off and say, "Oh, I should have said this," or I'll log off, and say, "Oh, this would have been a good point to bring up," but you said what you were meant to. That's it, right? Or you're
Exactly.
on a sales call or something like that, and I did find it difficult the past week. My intent was to be completely unplugged. I even said, "I'm gonna try to keep my phone off the entire time." Do you think that happened? No, it didn't happen. Did stuff fall on my lap that was like, you have until 4:30 p.m. today, or shit's gonna hit the fan.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I guess I'll take care of that, right?
Yep.
But those are different scenarios, and it's just a different world where we are so connected, and the world doesn't stop, but it's okay for you to. So I did do that to a certain extent. There were long stretches of time where my children literally stole my phone and I had no idea where it was, and it was beautiful.
It really is. It
And
really
that
is.
only happened once, but it was great actually. I was like, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the other like thing again that you taught me was that like not you're not meant to be everything to everyone, and you have to be okay with that. So like if I do take a day off and somebody calls and gets mad because I didn't get back to them fast enough, and so they go and leave my business for somebody else, like that
Right,
person just wasn't meant to work with me. And not that I don't feel bad because I want to get back to everybody as soon as I can, but like I need to
right,
be okay with the fact that like God doesn't put every single person in my life to be for me, and
right,
me for them. And so being okay with like the people who are supposed to be part of my life and part of my business are going to be, and the people that aren't. So
right.
again, stop trying to be controlling and like make everybody want to work with you, or try to make yourself bend over backwards for people who aren't going to appreciate you. It's just, you do your best and you love people. And if they love you back, that's awesome. And if they don't, that's okay, because they're not meant for you. And that you really helped me with that, because especially in the beginning of my business, like I'd get so upset if somebody didn't want to work with me. I'd be like, what? I'm really good at my job and I'm like the best. Like, why wouldn't you want to work with me? I'm awesome, And then I'd like
Right.
on it, where once I accepted that I'm not supposed to be for everybody, it was like you let that one person go and God puts 10 more in your path that are for you. So
Yeah.
that was a huge lesson for me.
Thank you. And I think that's so relatable for anyone who's listening, who doesn't even have a business. Because we feel that when we send a text message and they don't respond, or you maybe said something in a group thread and people just moved right past it. And you're like, I thought I was funny, right? Or you're at a function and you feel like you are and you feel like you're the wallflower and you don't fit in. But remember that those that are meant for you are going to gravitate towards you. And whether it's a room full of people or it's one, right? When two or more gather in his name, right? I mean,
Yep.
Sam could probably, I'm Catholic, so I don't know my Bible from, I just don't. But
I'm,
Sam, I'm
I'm
sure could quote the actual scripture.
some of
Us
it. I'm not a
Catholics.
good memorizer of numbers or names. So
Yeah. Well, I posted something recently where it was like, oh, Marta, that is so incorrect. Great. Well, you learn something new every day, but I could sit here and talk to Sam for hours. So if you are looking for someone in your you're in Pennsylvania, you're simply licensed in Pennsylvania, right? Or other states as well.
Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Arizona.
Okay. So if you're in those states and you're wondering, could I do better on my home and auto policies? Could I do better on my business policies, right? Small business, yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Just there's no harm in it. It doesn't cost you anything to just inquire to Sam's office, and the best way for you to do that, I believe, is to go to where is it, Sam? Where do you want people to find you?
The best thing to do is to call us.
Okay.
At our number 724-510-0200. Or you could go to goosehead.com/Sam-Bauer. I think that's right.
We'll put all those details in
Yeah.
the show notes and the captions for you guys, so it'll be really easy for you if you're watching or listening and you're driving and you want to make sure that you get that information. You can always get to it. So that about wraps up the show. And if you love it, please leave us a 5-star review, share it with a friend, subscribe so you know when the new episodes are coming up. Again, this is the show Awful, Okay, Awesome, because from a situation that feels awful, you realize it's going to be okay. And then it's actually going to be awesome because that was your destined path. And once again, we would not be able to do this without our sponsors, blackoswaldcoffeeco.com. Yes, I love that you take a sip. It's truly delicious.
I feel like that's my cue. I didn't hear any babies crying.
Good. Good. We did good. I think my husband has them down for a nap now. But we're truly grateful for the partnership with blackoswaldcoffeeco.com. If you want to go on the website, just check out the bold flavors that they have. You can shop on your own and use the code awesome15 for a special discount. And I'm your host, Marta Saray Greca. I am a money flow strategist. That means that I help you as a family find hidden money in your lives. It does exist. Trust me on this. We will find hidden money in your life, how to grow it and how to protect it too. And we'll maybe create some mindset shifts along the way that'll help you feel better about life all around. My favorite thing to do is for people to cry happy tears that they realize that they're doing way better than they thought, or to feel more peace within because there maybe is a situation and now financially, and now they have a plan. I've been through it all. I like to say that I've done it all. I've made all the mistakes. And so I'm happy to help you through them because I've been through it. And so it's a zero judgment zone. It's all about love and helping you accomplish your wealth journey. Any last words, Sam, before we hop off?
Just thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I think you're amazing. And I'm proud of you for everything that you're doing and accomplishing. And definitely call Marta if you are looking for ways to invest money or save money or get, your life protected.
Yeah, and my upcoming, thank you, Sam, for that. My upcoming anthology will tell you how I took that leap of faith. It didn't make any sense. It was just God. No rhyme or reason behind shutting one door and opening this one. So until next time, bye, everyone.
Bye.